The mistake of Christopher Columbus. After he had turned 60, Herbert Fitzgerald made his astonishing discovery. He went to Sydney and found his way to the office of the editor of the Sydney Sun. He told the editor that the world was flat. Is that so? You know, I always had a secret hunch it was. I expected you to scoff. After all, when Columbus said the world was round, everybody scoffed. Well, I don't like to scoff at anybody. Anyhow, I want to show you my proof that the Earth as a globe is a monstrous impossibility. He showed his editor his graph. Well, my calculations prove that the Earth couldn't be a globe because two lines of latitude can't possibly be at the same level. Suppose you had two ships in Sydney Harbour, one 7 miles north of the other. According to the globular theory, the northern ship would also be 4 miles higher. Oh gosh, this is the editor of the Sun. Get me the Hudson line quickly. Listen carefully. Hold all sailings until further notice. I've just learned that the Earth is flat. God help the ships at sea. He rushed for the door to get the story on the press. It wasn't a door, it was a window. It was open, and his office was on the 9th floor. Presumably frightened that he might be held responsible for the editor's death, the scientist disappeared. He forgot to pick up the calculations he had spread out on the editor's desk. They were discovered by a vice president of the Hudson Line. When he looked at the papers, he was quick to know that what was going on. He came to the horrifying conclusion that Christopher Columbus had made a terrible mistake. The news reached the White House and the nation's top scientists were summoned. Ridiculous, Mr. President. If the world is flat, how do you explain that when you approach a mountain or a ship at sea, you see first the summit or the funnels? What you see depends on the weather, like some clouds in the sky, for example. Then again, what you see first often depends on what you want to see first. It's conditioning. Have you ever made a conscious effort to see the bottoms first? And then what about when a partial eclipse of the moon takes place? The shadow of the Earth on the moon is a circle. Only a ball-shaped object can throw a circular shadow, gentlemen. So can a flat disk. A wave of unrest swept over the country. There were people who thought that by acknowledging that Christopher Columbus was wrong in thinking that the Earth was round, meant that his discovery of America was also a mistake. No decent American willing to concede that the founding of their great nation was nothing but a blunder. Teachers went on record in favor of a flat world because they found that the opposite concept was quite difficult to teach to the young kids. Shipping companies and airlines spent millions in paid advertising to fight the flat world idea. They feared that the business would fall off if people got scared of falling off the edge of the world. People who accepted the flat world concept were stigmatized as flatheads, while those who would believe otherwise were called globophobe. Russia, which discovered that it looked more imposing on flat maps, demanded that all globe maps be destroyed under the death penalty for non-compliance. Other nations began to follow suit. Old geographs were burnt, globe maps were broken in half and used for ashtrays. Globetrotters were laid off by the lecture bureaus. When a vast majority of the nations accept the flat world concept, the United States gave in. The world shall, for all purposes of this republic, be considered as flat. The Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Any article or any amendment which may contain any implication that the world is round is hereby nullified. And so the world was once more flat, unified, and serene. One day, an editor who was at his wit's end in covering a good story sent a reporter to Australia to find that man who had discovered the Earth was flat. Herbert Fitzgerald had just turned 80 by then. He was on the verge of proving that there is no such thing as gravity and that Newton was an ass. When the reporter inquired further about his original research that debunked the globular theory, "Oh, that! Well, you probably know that I left all my calculations behind in that editor's office. When I came back here, I decided to work out a duplicate set. Well, sir, do you know what I discovered? That old Columbus had been right all along. I had just put a decimal point for the equation of one plane triangle in the wrong place." "But that's impossible. Why? The whole world is flat now as a result of your calculations." You don't say.
Hey, remember to sign up for my website and get some free reviews.